The Sentinel-class defense platform Sierra 7 detected the anomaly 3 minutes before it materialized in real space. Commander Elena Santos watched the readings with practiced calm, though her augmented reflexes had already triggered the station's alert protocols before conscious thought caught up. Multiple hull breaches detected, her XO, Marcus Chen, reported from his station. The vessel appears to be bleeding atmosphere. No weapons signature detected. This looks like structural damage. The ship that had limped into Earth's defense sphere was massive, easily dwarfing the patrol cutters that now moved to intercept it. Its organic curves and crystalline surfaces marked it as Correxian, one of the elder races that had once guided humanity's first steps into the galaxy. But the vessel's current state told a very different story than the pristine ships Elena remembered from historical records. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," Marcus announced. "Universal distress protocols. Wait, they're using first contact standards from 2157. They don't know." Elena felt a smile touch her lips. "They wouldn't, would they? The Corrections haven't sent a ship this far rimward in almost 50 years. Open a channel." The holographic display shimmered as Elena straightened her midnight blue Terran Defense Force uniform. "This is Commander Elena Santos of Earth Defense Platform Sierra 7. We receive your distress call and stand ready to render assistance." The response came in halting bursts, the translator working overtime to process the formal Correction dialect. "This is High Navigator Zexley of the exploration vessel Star's Wisdom. We require immediate assistance. Our drive core sustained critical damage during a quantum storm." Elena noticed the subtle shift in the alien's tone when their visual connection stabilized. The slight widening of those compound eyes as they took in her uniform, the human-made station, the clearly advanced technology that surrounded her. She had seen that look before, usually from younger races encountering Earth's current level of development for the first time. "Understood, High Navigator. We're dispatching rescue and medical teams now. Our containment fields can safely manage any quantum core instabilities." She nodded to Marcus, who was already coordinating with the rescue crews. "Please maintain your current position. Your technology, it's compatible with Correxian systems." The disbelief in Zexley's voice was clear even through the translator. "Of course," Elena replied simply, allowing herself another small smile. "Earth has come a long way since we first met your people, High Navigator." The universe, it seems, has a sense of irony. As the rescue operations commenced, Elena couldn't help but reflect on the strange symmetry of the moment. 50 years ago, it had been a damaged human vessel receiving aid from the Correxians. Now, the roles were reversed, but the underlying principle remained the same. Sapient beings helping one another among the stars. The rescue itself was textbook perfect, a testament to how far human technology and expertise had advanced. Quantum containment fields stabilized the damaged drive core, while medical teams with universal compatibility equipment treated the injured crew. The Correction vessel's organic crystal hybrid technology, once seemingly magical to human eyes, was now well within their understanding and repair capabilities. "They're asking about the quantum resonance dampers," Marcus reported, amusement clear in his voice. "Apparently, they've never seen anything quite like them." "Send them the technical specifications," Elena decided after a moment's consideration. "Consider it a return on an old investment." As the data transferred, Elena observed the Correction bridge crew's reactions through the still-open channel. Their chitinous features might have been alien, but their expressions of wonder were universally recognizable. It reminded her of stories her grandmother had told her about humanity's first encounters with advanced alien civilizations. Tales of amazement, inspiration, and sometimes fear of the unknown. But Earth had learned, adapted, and grown. The quantum resonance dampers were just one example. Human engineers had taken the basic principles learned from various alien technologies and pushed them in entirely new directions. Where other species tended to follow established technological paths, humanity's greatest strength had proven to be their ability to innovate, to combine different approaches in unexpected ways. Commander, Marcus interrupted her thoughts. High Navigator Zexley is requesting permission to visit the station while repairs are underway. They seem particularly interested in our medical facilities. Elena nodded. Earth's approach to medical technology had perhaps been their most significant departure from established galactic norms. While most species focused on either biological or technological solutions, humanity had pursued both simultaneously, creating synthesis that many found either fascinating or disturbing, depending on their perspective. Permission granted. Assign them a cultural liaison, and make sure they understand our biosecurity protocols. She paused, then added, and Marcus, make sure they see the Memorial Garden. The Memorial Garden was standard on all Earth's major installations, a place of remembrance for those lost in humanity's journey to the stars. But it was also a testament to how far they'd come. Each technological breakthrough and scientific advancement marked alongside the names of those who had sacrificed to achieve them. As Elena watched the Correction rescue operation continue, she reflected on how this encounter would be remembered, not as a moment of human triumph or alien humbling, but as a reminder that the galaxy's true strength lay in the endless cycle of teaching and learning between civilizations. Today, humanity had proven they could be the teachers as well as the students. Yet even as repair crews worked to restore the Correction vessel, Elena's augmented senses detected something else. Subtle variations in the quantum storm damage that didn't quite match known patterns. There was a story here, one that went beyond a simple rescue operation. The Corrections had been running from something, and whatever it was, they'd chosen to flee toward Earth rather than their own territories. That fact alone made Elena's enhanced combat instincts stir. In her experience, when an elder race showed fear, younger civilizations did well to pay attention. High Navigator Zexley's steps faltered as they entered Earth's Memorial Garden. The Correction's compound eyes reflected the soft illumination of the quantum memorial fields, each one containing perfect holographic recreations of humanity's technological milestones. But it was the price list that drew their attention. The names of those lost in pursuit of each advancement, etched in simple, stark lettering beneath the displays. You chose this path deliberately? Zexley asked, their translator struggling to convey the complex mix of horror and admiration in their voice. Dr. Sarah Chen, the station's chief scientist, nodded solemnly. After first contact, we realized how far behind we were. Some wanted to simply adopt alien technologies wholesale. Others insisted we develop everything independently. In the end, we chose a third path. She gestured to a particular display. A failed quantum drive test that had claimed an entire research station. We studied everything we could learn from other species, then pushed beyond it. Sometimes the cost was terrible, but each sacrifice taught us something new. The Correction leader's antennae twitched in a gesture Sarah had learned indicated deep thought. Your people are known for taking risks, but this is beyond mere recklessness. The quantum resonance technology alone should have killed thousands during development. It did, Sarah replied quietly. The Memorial Garden doesn't just honor the dead. It reminds us of our responsibility to make their sacrifices matter. Before Zexley could respond, Commander Santos's voice came through the station's comm system. Dr. Chen, High Navigator, your presence is requested in the quantum analysis lab immediately. The tension in Elena's voice made Sarah's augmented nervous system kick into high alert. As they hurried through the station's corridors, she noticed the Correction leader's own agitation growing. They knew something they hadn't shared yet. The quantum lab was a maze of holographic displays and reality-bending equipment. Marcus Chen stood at the main analysis station, his expression grim. The damaged sections of the Correction vessel's hull rotated in the display before him, quantum scanning revealing layers of information invisible to normal sensors. The damage patterns are consistent with exposure to void tears, Marcus reported, his augmented eyes tracking multiple data streams simultaneously. But the quantum signature is wrong. These aren't natural formations. Zexley's exoskeleton clicked softly, a sound Sarah's enhanced hearing recognized as their species' equivalent of a nervous swallow. You weren't supposed to be able to detect that. Perhaps not 50 years ago, Alina replied, entering the lab. But as you've seen, Earth has advanced. What were you running from, High Navigator? The Correction leader's compound eyes dimmed slightly, a sign of deep distress. We called them the Void Hunters when we first detected them. They consume quantum technology and everything that uses it. The holographic displays shifted, showing the full extent of the damage to the Correction ship. What had appeared to be random patterns of destruction now revealed themselves as systematic attacks, each targeting crucial quantum systems. 3 of our outer colonies have gone silent in the past solar cycle, Zexley continued. The Astral Confederation dismissed our warnings, claimed our evidence was inconclusive. We hoped your quantum resonance technology might offer a defense. Sarah's augmented mind was already racing through the implications, correlating data faster than any unmodified human could. The resonance dampers don't just stabilize quantum fields, they can reshape them. If these Void Hunters are using quantum-based attacks, then humanity's approach to quantum physics might be our best chance at fighting back. Alina finished. But there's something you're still not telling us, isn't there, High Navigator? Zexley's antennae drooped, a gesture of shame. The Hunters, they're not natural entities. They're weapons, created long ago by a species that feared younger races might one day surpass them. The revelation hung in the air like a physical weight. Sarah found herself looking back toward the memorial garden, thinking of all those names, all those sacrifices made in pursuit of advancement. Had they unknowingly been racing toward this confrontation all along? Show us everything you have, Alina commanded, her augmented command presence lending her voice an authority that even the Correction leader couldn't ignore. If these hunters target quantum technology, then every advanced civilization in the galaxy is at risk. As Zexley began transferring data from their ship's archives, Sarah noticed something curious in the quantum analysis. The damage patterns, while devastating, showed signs of learning. Each successive attack had been more efficient, more precisely targeted. They're not just weapons, she realized aloud. They're evolving, adapting to counter each civilization's defenses. That's why they've stayed hidden so long. They study their prey before striking. Marcus nodded, his augmented vision picking up the same patterns. And now that multiple species have achieved quantum technology mastery, they're ready to harvest, Zexley finished grimly. Your people's unique approach to quantum physics may be our only hope. The Hunters have never encountered anything like your resonance dampers. Alina's enhanced combat instincts were practically screaming now. How long? She demanded. How long until they reach Earth's territory? The Correction leader's response was interrupted by a priority alert from the station's long-range sensors. Multiple quantum distortions were forming at the edge of monitored space, tiers in reality that shouldn't have been possible according to known physics. As alarm klaxons began to sound throughout the station, Sarah found herself thinking of all those names in the memorial garden. Earth had paid a terrible price for their technological advancement. Now they would find out if that price had been high enough. The Emergency Council chamber aboard Sierra 7 had never hosted such a diverse gathering. Representatives from 7 major spacefaring civilizations attended via quantum hologram, their forms shimmering around the circular table as Commander Alina Santos presented humanity's findings. The station's quantum shields hummed with increased power as another void tear formed and collapsed at the edge of monitored space. The attack pattern analysis is conclusive, Alina stated, her augmented vocal processors ensuring perfect translation across all species present. The Void Hunters aren't just targeting random quantum systems. They're systematically eliminating defensive capabilities first. The Meridian Ambassador, a being of pure energy contained within an advanced environmental suit, pulsed with skepticism. Humanity has been utilizing quantum technology for barely half a century. What makes you believe your analysis surpasses our own? Dr. Sarah Chen stepped forward, neural interfaces projecting detailed technical data into the shared holographic space. Because we approached quantum physics differently than any other civilization, we didn't follow established theoretical frameworks. We experimented, failed, learned, and tried again. The quantum resonance patterns from humanity's early tests filled the chamber, alongside the tragic casualty reports that accompanied each breakthrough. Several representatives recoiled at the displayed cost in lives, but High Navigator Zexley's antennae raised in understanding. They tested configurations other races deemed too dangerous to attempt, the Correction leader explained. And in doing so, they discovered principles we had overlooked for millennia. Sarah nodded, bringing up new data streams. The Void Hunters exploit quantum vulnerabilities common to all standard implementation methods. But our resonance dampers work on completely different principles we discovered through those costly experiments. The Astral Confederation's representative, a crystalline being named Val Sor, chimed in with harmonics of doubt. You suggest we abandon centuries of proven quantum engineering in favor of human methods. The economic disruption, alone ruled, would be preferable to extinction. Elena interrupted, her enhanced combat systems detecting another void tear forming, closer this time. The Hunters aren't interested in our economies or our politics. They're weapons designed to eliminate quantum-capable civilizations, and they're getting closer. The chamber erupted in overlapping arguments and counter-proposals. Sarah watched the various representatives, her augmented senses picking up subtle signs of fear beneath their diplomatic veneers. The Void Hunters had shattered their assumptions of technological superiority, and now they were being asked to trust their survival to one of the galaxy's youngest spacefaring races. Marcus Chen's voice cut through the chaos as he entered the chamber. New contact. Void tear forming within Defense Perimeter Alpha. The holographic displays shifted instantly, showing a massive distortion in space-time less than a light minute from the station. As they watched, something emerged, a construct that seemed to defy the laws of physics, its surface absorbing light and quantum energy alike. Defensive systems engaging, Elena announced, her augmented reflexes already interfacing with the station's control systems. All non-essential personnel to emergency shelters. The Void Hunter was unlike anything their historical records had predicted. Its form shifted constantly, adapting to each defensive measure the station deployed. Conventional quantum weapons dissipated harmlessly against its surface, but when the resonance dampers engaged, something unexpected happened. The Hunter recoiled. There, Sarah exclaimed, her enhanced mind processing the sensor data in real time. The resonance fields aren't just blocking it. They're disrupting its quantum absorption capabilities. It can't consume energy patterns it can't predict. Elena seized the opportunity, diverting all power to resonance systems. Dr. Chen, can you modify the field harmonics to match its adaptation rate? Sarah's neural interfaces blurred with activity as she worked. Already on it. Marcus, I need station-wide quantum telemetry. Every fluctuation, no matter how small. The gathered representatives watched in stunned silence as humanity's supposedly primitive resonance technology forced the Void Hunter into retreat. The construct writhed as unpredictable quantum harmonics prevented it from establishing a stable consumption pattern, finally disappearing back through its void tear. That was a scout. High Navigator Zexley declared grimly. Testing our defenses. More will come. Elena turned to face the assembled representatives. You've seen what our technology can do. But we'll need resources to scale up production of resonance systems. And more importantly, we'll need your trust. Trust. The Meridian Ambassador's energy form flickered. You ask us to replace our quantum cores with experimental human technology, knowing the casualty rates from your development process. No, Sarah interjected, her voice firm. We ask you to work with us to improve it. We paid the price in lives to develop this technology, but that means we also know its flaws, its limitations. Together, we can refine it, make it safer, more efficient. She brought up the Memorial Gardens records, letting them see the full history of humanity's quantum development. Every name here represents a lesson learned. We're not asking you to repeat our mistakes. We're offering to share what those sacrifices taught us. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't simply offering technology. They were offering a different way of thinking about technological development itself, a way that valued innovation over tradition, that wasn't afraid to challenge established theories. How long? Valsor asked finally. How long to upgrade our primary defense systems? Elena shared a quick look with Sarah before responding. With full cooperation, 2 months, maybe 3, but we'll need to start immediately. That scout will report back. And next time they'll send something bigger. Marcus finished, his augmented eyes still tracking quantum disturbances at the edge of sensor range, something designed to counter what they learned today. As the representatives began discussing logistics and resource allocation, Sarah found herself drawn to the station's viewport. Somewhere out there, ancient weapons were awakening, analyzing, adapting. But for the first time since detecting them, she felt something besides fear. Humanity had paid a terrible price for their understanding of quantum physics. Now, finally, they would learn if that knowledge was worth the cost. 2 months after the scout's appearance, Earth's Sierra 7 station had transformed into an impromptu command center for the greatest technological conversion project in galactic history. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her workstation, neural interfaces processing data from a dozen different species' quantum implementations as they adapted human resonance technology to their systems. Meridian Defense Grid is online, she announced, watching the quantum harmonics stabilize across their sector. Their energy-based biology actually improved the resonance efficiency by 12%. Commander Elena Santos nodded, her augmented senses monitoring the increasing void tear activity at the galaxy's edge. The Astral Confederation is still refusing to modify their primary systems. They're convinced their crystal lattice quantum cores are naturally resistant. Their funeral, Marcus Chen muttered from his station, then added more formally, 3 more void tears detected in Sector 7. They're getting closer to populated systems. The past 2 months have been a race against time. Some civilizations, like the Corrections and Meridians, had embraced humanity's resonance technology wholeheartedly. Others remained skeptical, implementing only partial defenses or refusing assistance entirely. The galaxy's political and technological landscape was transforming as rapidly as the void tear patterns themselves. New contact. Marcus's enhanced voice cut through the command center's atmosphere. Massive void tear forming in the Astral Confederation's home sector. The main display shifted to show a tear in space-time larger than any they'd previously encountered. What emerged wasn't a single hunter, but a swarm of them, each one different from the last. The Confederation's crystal lattice defenses lasted less than an hour. They're not just consuming the quantum systems, Sarah realized, her augmented mind processing the attack patterns. They're integrating the crystal lattice technology into themselves, learning from it. Elena's command presence filled the room as she opened channels to all allied systems. This is Commander Santos. The Astral Confederation is under attack. All vessels with resonance capability converge on their home system. This is not a request. The response was immediate. Ships from 7 different species, their traditional quantum drives replaced with human resonance technology, began emerging from hyperspace around the Confederation's worlds. It was an unprecedented sight. Civilizations that had once been rivals now united under humanity's tactical leadership. Resonance fleet in position, Marcus reported. But Elena, the hunters aren't retreating. They're adapting faster than before. Sarah's fingers flew across her neural interfaces as she analyzed the new data. The crystal lattice technology gave them a base pattern to work from. They're using it to predict and counter our resonance fields. Can we modify the harmonics? Elena demanded, watching as the first line of defense ships engaged the swarm. Not fast enough, Sarah replied. But then her enhanced mind made a connection. Unless we stop trying to maintain stable fields entirely. Elena turned to her sharply. Explain. The hunters adapt by analyzing patterns in our quantum manipulation, Sarah said, her words accelerating as the idea developed. So let's give them no pattern to analyze. Complete quantum chaos. That would burn out every resonance system in the fleet, Marcus protested. The power requirements alone would be massive, Sarah agreed. But the Meridian's energy-based biology increased our efficiency. If we can link all ships' resonance systems through their quantum matrices, Elena's augmented combat systems were already calculating the tactical implications. A coordinated chaos burst. Do it. The next few minutes were a blur of activity as Sarah's team coordinated with the fleet. The Meridian ships took position at key nodes, their unique biology serving as power conduits for the entire network. Every other vessel's resonance systems were linked through their matrices, creating a web of quantum energy unlike anything ever attempted. Network completed, Sarah announced. On your command. Elena's enhanced voice carried to every ship in the fleet. All vessels, prepare for system overload. Divert all power to resonance fields on my mark. She paused, watching the hunters continue their advance through the Confederation's defenses. Execute. The result was beyond anything they had simulated. Every resonance system in the fleet activated simultaneously, but instead of maintaining stable fields, they generated completely random quantum fluctuations. The energy web created by the Meridian ships amplified the effect exponentially. The Void Hunters, unable to predict or adapt to the chaotic quantum patterns, began to break apart. Their carefully evolved defenses, designed to counter logical quantum manipulation, proved useless against pure chaos. Within minutes, the swarm had been reduced to scattered fragments of void energy. But the victory came at a cost. As predicted, nearly every resonance system in the fleet was burned out. The Meridian ships, their energy matrices strained to breaking point, would take weeks to recover. And in the distance, more void tiers were forming. Status report, Elena commanded, her voice tired but steady. The Confederation's quantum grid is offline, Marcus reported. 80% of their systems were consumed before we could stop the hunters. But their population centers are intact. The hunters will analyze this encounter, Sarah added, her neural interfaces still processing combat data. Next time they'll be ready for quantum chaos. We need something new. Elena looked out at the damaged fleet, at the burned-out remnants of humanity's defensive technology. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The hunters were learning, adapting, evolving. Each encounter made them stronger. But as she watched ships from 7 different species coordinate recovery efforts, Elena saw something the hunters couldn't predict or consume. Cooperation, innovation, the willingness to sacrifice for a greater cause. Get me a channel to Earth, she ordered. We need to accelerate production of the Mark II resonance systems. And this time, we're not just adapting human technology to alien ships. We're going to create something entirely new. The gathered fleet, once proud examples of their respective civilizations' quantum mastery, now hung in space with burned-out systems and battle scars. But they had proven something vital, that the galaxy's species could work together, could trust humanity's unconventional methods when traditional approaches failed. As repair crews began their work, Sarah found herself thinking of the Memorial Garden, back on Sierra 7. Soon, new names would be added to its walls. Not just humans this time, but beings from across the galaxy who had sacrificed everything to protect others. The price of progress was being shared at last. The Memorial Garden aboard Sierra 7 had changed in the months since the Battle of the Confederation. Names from a dozen different species now lined its walls, each telling a story of sacrifice in the face of extinction. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the newest additions, her augmented mind calculating the odds of survival as void tiers continued to multiply across known space. The Mark II systems are ready, she reported as Commander Elena Santos entered the garden. Though ready might be optimistic, we've barely tested them. Like everything else we've built, Alina replied, her enhanced senses detecting the approach of their allies. The hunters haven't given us the luxury of thorough testing. The garden's quantum fields shimmed as representatives from their allied species arrived. High Navigators Exley led the Coraxian delegation, their exoskeleton bearing new scars from recent battles. The Meridian Ambassador's energy form pulsed with diminished strength, still recovering from their role in the quantum chaos gambit. Even Valsor of the humbled Astral Confederation was present, their crystalline form noticeably dimmer. The void tears are forming a pattern, Marcus Chen announced, his augmented eyes projecting the latest sensor data. They're not just random attacks anymore. They're hurting us. The display showed the positions of known hunter swarms, each one driving refugee fleets toward the galaxy's core. Every abandoned system was stripped of its quantum technology, adding to the hunters' growing capabilities. The Mark I resonance systems are our last chance, Sarah explained, neural interfaces bringing up technical schematics. We've incorporated elements from every allied species, Meridian energy matrices, Confederation crystal lattice focusing, Coraxian organic quantum routing. But the core principle remains human. Controlled chaos, Alina added. Not just random fluctuations this time, but precise uncertainty. Every system generates quantum patterns that appear predictable, but collapse into chaos at random intervals. Valsor's crystalline form chimed with doubt. You ask us to bet everything on technology that deliberately malfunction. We ask you to trust that sometimes the flaw is the feature, Sarah countered. The hunters adapt by predicting patterns. We're giving them patterns that cannot be predicted. Before anyone could respond, Marcus's voice cut through the garden. Multiple void tears forming. Largest concentration yet, bearing directly on Earth. The assembled leaders rushed to the command center, watching as space itself seemed to tear apart. The hunter swarm that emerged dwarfed anything they'd previously encountered. Each construct incorporated technology consumed from dozens of civilizations, their forms a twisted mockery of the species they'd destroyed. All ships, battle positions, Alina commanded, her augmented voice carrying to every vessel in the combined fleet. Mark IO systems online. Remember your training. Random intervals, no coordinated timing. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. The hunter swarm advanced with devastating efficiency, each construct adapting to conventional defenses within seconds. But the Mark IO systems proved harder to counter. Every time the hunters thought they'd identified a pattern, the resonance fields would shift unexpectedly. They're learning slower, Sarah observed, her enhanced mind processing combat data. But they're still learning. We need to end this quickly. Alina nodded grimly. All ships, execute Protocol Omega. Full power to Mark II systems. The fleet responded as one, every vessel pushing their experimental technology to its limits. The space between Earth and the hunters became a quantum storm of unpredictable energy patterns. Ships from every allied species worked in carefully orchestrated chaos, their differences forgotten in the face of extinction. The hunters began to falter, their adaptive capabilities overwhelmed by the sheer volume of conflicting data. But victory remained elusive. For every construct they destroyed, two more emerged from the void tiers, each one incorporating new defenses. The tiers, Sarah suddenly exclaimed, her neural interfaces making connections faster than she could vocalize. They're not just entry points. They're quantum anchors. The hunters need them to maintain stability in normal space. Alina's combat systems immediately grasped the implications. All ships with functional Mark II systems, form on me. We're going for the tiers themselves. The remaining fleet consolidated, their formation resembling an ancient artillery arrow. The hunters, sensing the threat, moved to intercept. But they had evolved to counter attacks on their physical forms, not the quantum infrastructure that sustained them. Mark II systems at 120% of tested capacity, Marcus warned. Core containment failing across the fleet. "Hold position," Elena commanded. "Wait for it." The hunters closed in, their adapted weapons ready to consume any normal quantum energy signature. But the Mark IO systems weren't normal. At Elena's signal, every ship activated their resonance fields simultaneously, not against the hunters, but against the void tiers themselves. The result defied conventional physics. The tiers, unable to maintain stability against the chaotic quantum assault, began to collapse. Hunters nearest the tiers were drawn back into the void, their physical forms breaking apart under dimensional stress. Those that remained found themselves cut off from their source of power and adaptation. "Press the advantage," Elena ordered. "All ships, remaining power to Mark II systems. Don't let them stabilize." The combined fleet surged forward, their chaotic quantum fields tearing through the remaining hunters. Without the void tiers to sustain them, the ancient weapons began to break down, their consumed technologies falling apart as their quantum matrices collapsed. The battle for Earth lasted less than an hour, but its impact would reshape galactic civilization. As the last hunter dissolved into quantum static, the assembled species found themselves facing a new reality. The technology they had once prided themselves on had nearly led to their extinction. Survival had come not from perfect engineering, but from controlled imperfection. In the Memorial Garden, weeks later, representatives from every allied species gathered to honor their dead. The names on the walls told a story not just of sacrifice, but of transformation. Humanity had shown the galaxy a new way forward, one that valued innovation over tradition, cooperation over competition. The hunters were created by a species that feared being surpassed, Sarah mused, standing with Elena and Marcus before the garden's quantum fields. In the end, that fear became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Elena nodded, watching as Meridian energy beings mingled with Correction researchers, sharing ideas that would have been unthinkable months ago. They tried to prevent evolution by creating the perfect weapon. But they forgot that true perfection isn't about being flawless. It's about being adaptable. Marcus finished, his augmented eyes taking in the gathered species. About being willing to change, to take risks, to trust. The quantum fields of the Memorial Garden shifted, displaying not just names now, but achievements. Every sacrifice had led to a breakthrough. Every loss had taught a lesson. Humanity had paid a terrible price for their understanding of quantum physics, but that price had purchased something beyond mere technology. It had bought them a future, not just for Earth, but for every species willing to embrace uncertainty, to learn from failure, to rise from sacrifice stronger than before. The Void Hunters had been created to prevent younger races from surpassing their makers. Instead, they had forced those races to surpass themselves.